Saturday was actually, in my opinion, about the Los Angeles Lakers, their future, and also their present. So Luka Doncic obviously has been a Laker for 5, 6, 7, 8 months now, whatever it was traded in February. And on Saturday, signed a 3-year, $165 million extension. Right? That was the big story when he was traded to the Lakers. The Mavs were a little bit questionable about wanting to give him that big long-term extension. The Lakers not afraid. They give him the $165 million extension. By the way, in the same week that, of course, he graced the covers of Men's Health. So Luka's in the best shape of his life. He gets a big deal. And as part of the press conference, basically every Laker of note was there. Including, by the way, not just J.J. Redick, the head coach, not just Rob Pelinka, the GM, but DeAndre Ayton, who just became a Laker this offseason, Marcus Smart, who just became a Laker this offseason, Adu Thero, who was drafted by the Los Angeles Lakers in the second round of the NBA draft this past June.
Well, of course. I mean, why would every Laker not be there?
Well, you can ask the chosen one that, J-Mart, because there was one notable Laker that was not there. That was number 23, LeBron James, who, no, there was not a family emergency. No, there was not a previous commitment of note. According to his Instagram feed, he was just playing golf today. LeBron James. So what do you make, J-Mart, of LeBron James being the only notable member of the Los Angeles Lakers that was not at Luka Doncic's press conference on Saturday?
I make of it that LeBron James wanted to be noticeable by his invisibility. He wanted people to take note of the fact that he wasn't there and talk about that. I told you when this happened this afternoon, when I first saw the news, I immediately was just like, I mean, we're going to have to talk about this, but it's not particularly interesting that Luka's going to stay a Laker. I assumed that he was going to, he left a little bit of money on the table, but, I mean, he's going to be able to recoup that down the line. He's betting on himself. He's kind of recruited some people there. This was a foregone conclusion in my estimation, so it wasn't a particularly, meaty topic, except for the jilted ex-lover that still wants everything to be about him. And because it's not, we're seeing workout photos with the Clippers logo in the background. We're seeing weird tweets. We're seeing I don't have anything to talk about when we're at Summer League. We're seeing all these various things, and now we're seeing this very conspicuous absence. And there is absolutely no doubt in my mind that it was calculated to make sure that there was a lot of evidence that his absence was not for any particular reason. That's why we found out he was playing golf all day. He made sure everyone saw that. So it wasn't because, you think that it's maybe there was a death in the family or something serious that could have happened. You never know why he might not have made it. He might have tried. Maybe his flight was delayed. No, he was playing golf. And he made sure everybody saw that as well. It is the epitome of immature, just kind of egomaniacal, almost narcissistic behavior. Mm-hmm. That you have to be front and center all the time. And the page has turned with the Lakers organization. We read the story, the Windhorst Shelburne story. We've seen some of the other things that have gone on. We had Medina on a couple of weeks ago. He backed it up. Medina will be with Fratto after we're done, and I'm sure Bernie will ask him about it, and he'll probably say similar things like this LeBron James thing. Dude is unfortunately going to go out in a really just a really negative way. This is one of those where it's just all right, now I'm ready for him to go ahead and retire. I love watching him play basketball, but I'm just tired of this. And I feel like I represent the vast majority of the sports watching public, where it's just dude, just go away and live your life. Go start your production company, do all your podcasts, be passive aggressive about all the stars that came before you that you think you're better than, and all these we can't just enjoy you for the basketball player that you are because you won't allow it anymore. So I'd rather you not play basketball anymore. I'd rather you just go do something that I can avoid. The league can't turn the page until you exit stage left. So at this point, I'm just waiting for that, because this is such a slap in the face in that organization that's bent over backwards to try and do everything that you want, firing multiple coaches, bringing in your old podcast coach, drafting your son, all these other kinds of things. You can't be there for Luka's extension because it's better for your brand for you not to be.
It's
because
not
now
better
we're
for
talking
his brand,
about you.
But I'm not.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's just. So I agree with everything you said. Is that one? And I really actually kind of was thinking this during the NBA playoffs this year. Is for all the criticisms of the NBA during the regular season. I remember watching those playoffs and. Whether obviously Halliburton got hurt, but he had an incredible playoffs. Jalen Brunson, Anthony Edwards. It was like there's so many great stories. Yet when the season begins, everyone in our business can't help but default to LeBron and the Lakers. Don't know what to talk about. LeBron and the Lakers. No lead topic. LeBron and the Lakers. Whatever. And I think it in many ways has hurt the NBA. And you and I have talked about that. Is that. Again, I don't think, and I think it was a great point that you brought up throughout the playoffs. It's like people literally didn't know how to talk about the Indiana Pacers or the Oklahoma City Thunder because it had never been a topic all regular season. So I'm ready for him to move on. I think the thing that stands out to me is living in LA. I think there's a lot of Lakers. I don't even think. I would say the vast, vast majority of Lakers fans are ready to move on. Tell you what, why don't we bring in producer Brandon here? Brandon is a diehard Lakers fan. Dude, I'll be honest, like being around town, it feels like it's run its course. It feels like it never really was what it was supposed to be. I think most Lakers fans... Let me ask you, what percentage of Lakers fans would you say are ready for the LeBron era to be over? Because I think it is way bigger than people perceive. I'd say it's like in the 80 to 90% range. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I think we first need to disassociate the people that are fans of LeBron James specifically.
Call. Totally different. Yep.
Who then bandwagoned from, obviously throughout his career, each team now are Lakers fans. Because those would, obviously, they want him to be on, they're just fans of LeBron, right? So they're not, I don't know what they would think. For just Laker fans that were Laker fans before LeBron got to LA, I would say it's 90%. I don't think it's hard to find fans that still want him on the team. In fact, my personal belief in this situation is I would prefer to just, at this point, trade him for anything you can. The issue is no one wants him, which he'll never say publicly. Like, the Cleveland was interested, reports were for a mid-level exception, right? They're not going to pay you $40 million, LeBron. Of course you opted in to your player option, right? Of course he did, because no one else was going to pay him $40 million at age 41. And look, he accomplished a lot with the Lakers, but I would have traded him. And I think another point we need to bring up is Jeannie Buss's involvement with this.
Great call.
Because if Mark Walter was running the team like what it is, like the Dodgers, basically, and his people, right? LeBron would be gone already. I think with Jeannie staying over this next period of 5 years, and look, I'm going to give Jeannie flowers for her treatment of stars. Stars love her. Part of Luka's extension, personally, I believe was because he has a good relationship with Jeannie Buss, but we also have to remember, if Jeannie Buss was, let's say, completely gone, not even the governor, Mark Walter would have fired Rob Pelinka. He would have hired Sam Presti and given him a blank check, and LeBron would be running laps in Cleveland right now, getting ready for the Cavs season, and they would have traded him for Jared Allen. I mean, it would have already been done. I think only because of Jeannie Buss's involvement is why LeBron is still a Laker. I would prefer just to win 35 or 40 games and not have LeBron on the team and start building the roster around Luka, because there's no way they win a championship this year. There's a 0% chance. They don't play enough defense.
Well, and it speaks to, I think, the thing that we talked about earlier in the show, Jason, and for people who missed it, go back and download the podcast. I just think it sets up for a very interesting season ahead, because it's clear he doesn't want to be there. They don't want him there. But there is no real market to move him or trade him. I just think it's going to set up for a very, very, very weird year. Here's the other thing I would say about this, too, real quick, J. Martin. We didn't talk about this in hour one. I think from my perspective, if you're mad at the organization, that's fine. And this speaks to what you said earlier about him just being a narcissist. But like I was explaining this whole situation to my wife earlier today, and she's like, do you think he doesn't like Luka? And I was like, no, it has nothing to do with Luka. But Luka is the default enemy because Luka is what's standing in the way of him getting what he wants, which is complete control. And that's the part that I think, to me, is the most embarrassing part. Is if you have issues with ownership, guess what? There's a lot of athletes all over sports that have issues with ownership. Just ask Micah Parsons. But this dude came in. This dude didn't ask to be here. This dude thought a year ago he was retiring a Dallas Maverick. But he came in, once he got to L.A., he said all the right things, he did all the right things. You know, I think that he kind of deferred to LeBron throughout that season, and I think that, to me, is the most disappointing thing. You want to have issues with the front office, that's fine. Heck, you want to post your stupid social media in front of the Clippers jersey, wearing the Cleveland gear, whatever, practice facility, I don't care. But it is such an insult to Luka Doncic, who you now have to, quote-unquote, go to war with for 82 games next year. It's just such an insult to him and guys that are supposed to be his teammates. It's just, that's the frustrating part to me. If you want to be mad at ownership, management, you won't be the first athlete, you won't be the last. But to do that to a guy that's your teammate, that you're supposed to be in the trenches with, I think that's the most frustrating part for me.
Yeah, so there's another part of the definition of a narcissist that I think applies here, and that is that one of the things that a narcissist cannot do is recognize and admit fault. Recognize and admit that they're in the wrong.
You sound like my wife talking about me during a fight. But anyway, neither here nor there. Continue.
That's not possible for a narcissist to do. They always see it from their own perspective. A lot of times they are almost blind to how they come across by everyone else. I haven't like always felt this way about LeBron, but just over this last few years, as you kind of watch this whole thing play out, and then you can kind of go back and see the breadcrumbs of this through time. Here's how you build a narcissist. One really easy way. Do you really think that LeBron has people that are giving him the straight truth about himself on a regular basis?
Nope.
Has he ever?
Probably not.
At least in his impressionable years.
Nope.
Has he ever not been surrounded by... I mean, do you really think Maverick Carter is telling LeBron James when he's wrong on a regular basis, correcting him, humbling him, helping to disciple him to be a more mature person? And, like, well, you know, that's what a friendship's supposed to be. Like,
really
you're
quick,
supposed to show me my weaknesses. I'm supposed to do the same for you.
You know how I know he hasn't? Because he's gone through so many coaches. Like, seriously, like whatever you think about Michael Jordan, right? Phil Jackson, whatever it was, 8-9 years together. And it's obvious that Phil Jackson, yes, Michael Jordan is the main reason that they won those championships, but it was clear that Phil pushed some buttons that didn't always make Michael comfortable. And so you go through the history of LeBron, all the coaches, all the front office people, all the pressure. The only one that didn't back down from him was obviously Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra, and there's a famous story of him going to Pat Riley and trying to get Eric Spoelstra fired. And it was the first time, and probably the only real time up until right now, that somebody has told him no. So to answer your question, I know for a fact that nobody's really standing up to him and that nobody's really pushing back, because when they push back, they get removed. See all of the coaches that have coached him through the years.
I mean, well, another thing that would kind of reflect narcissistic behavior would be every time I lose in the playoffs, I have a shadow injury that I reveal the next day. Yep. Stuff like that. Like, I can't be wrong. I can't be beaten. I can't be number two. Championships don't matter because I don't have as many as Michael, but really we shouldn't be judging careers based on that anyway. We should be judging them based on longevity or some nonsense like that. There's always, you have to move the goalpost to stay in front, because it's not okay for you not to be, you know, front and center and all that. And again, yeah, got to get the coach fired. We're not winning. It's got to be the coach's fault, or it's got to be this person. I don't have enough help, or whatever it is, all those kinds of things. And the problem for a narcissist, when the time comes that they're no longer, like, they don't have to be catered to anymore, is that you see what you've seen here, which is Luka's the one at the dinner. He's the one recruiting Marcus Smart. He's the one saying, let's go ahead and bring in DeAndre Ayton. Let's see what we can do with that. And they're not including LeBron in these conversations the same way that they used to. LeBron and the Lakers, whatever the falling out was, whenever it started, whatever it was about, all those kinds of things, it had to center around the fact that LeBron was not getting his way. Period, point blank, end of story. And now he's really not getting his way because the team is not really focused around him anymore. And I don't think that he wants to play on a team that he's not the focus of, because he's never had to in his entire career. Even when Dwayne Wade was getting a decent amount of press with the Heat, it was still all about LeBron James. Everything in Cleveland, certainly about LeBron James. Anthony Davis, yeah, he could be called street clothes, but LeBron was going to be the guy in LA at all times. Now we know for a fact that the Lakers are Luka Doncic's team. And today or yesterday it became, more apparent than ever with this extension being signed and the way that the franchise is kind of embracing him and all this. And who's not there? The guy that's been number one, that's unwilling to take a step back, even though it's happened in front of him. Like, he can't stop it, but he also, I don't know that he is capable of understanding that the world has moved past him. Mm-hmm. And so this is why you're seeing the passive-aggressive stuff. This is why you're seeing the photos. This is why you're seeing all this stuff that's so irritating and annoying, and it just feels like this is like elementary school, middle school, I know you are, but what am I kind of stuff from LeBron James. It is beneath somebody of his caliber as an athlete, as a leader in community, all the things that he has done throughout his career. This right here is like, I hope this is not his true colors. I hope this is just, coming to grips with his own basketball mortality, his own star mortality as an NBA basketball player. And he doesn't even recognize. He can go do a whole lot of stuff after basketball, and people are going to like him, and people are going to want to be around him, assuming that he doesn't continue to shoot himself in the foot.
I want to just wrap on one thing. Brandon's a little bit more plugged into all the nuance on a couple things. There's conversation. I've heard people say, he's not going to be I think Arnie Spanier, not surprising. He's not going to be a Laker come day one. There's no way with that contract that he can be on a different team really at any point, at least to start the season, right? Like, there's no, even if there was a hypothetical team interested, there's really no way to move him with that contract the way that it is, right?
100% chance he's a Laker at the start of the season, and I think there's a 100% chance he's a Laker at the end of the season.
Yeah.
I truly do. Like, I think his best bet for him is like, okay, I'm with Luka Doncic, best player I've ever played with.
I know.
And he's mad still that he got a first-round exit with the best player he's ever played with, right? So that's another thing that's hurting his ego, and I'd agree with Jason on that. So I do think he thinks 40, whatever, his money, all the millions he's making, 40, 50, with the Lakers is the best thing he can do with Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves. He's got a good team. It's not like he's playing with a bunch of bums,
No, and it brings it full circle to what we talked about in hour one, is that it's disappointing on so many levels. And to J Mart's point that he just made a minute ago is that it's sad that this is how he's going out, and that he's not going out with grace. And by the way, again, still a very good basketball player.
Yes.
But it is, to exactly what you said, J Mart, it is beneath him to be acting in this manner at this point in his career at this age. It's just a bad look overall. So I don't know if anybody has anything else to add beyond that, but it's just a brutal look for a guy that should be aging gracefully. We should be celebrating him still playing at a high level, soon to be 41 years old. And all he's doing is kind of making an embarrassment of himself this offseason. So.